It's right there.
Welcome.
Hi.
Hello.
Welcome, friends. She
Sorry.
was like saying hi
I'm
over
getting
here
comfy.
too.
Hello.
Hello.
Happy almost 4th of July.
Actually, by the time this is posted, well, I don't
Yeah.
yeah, it'd be like
It'll be
2 days. Yeah.
It'll be almost 4th of July.
We're doing batch recording because we're gonna be out of town
next week.
so we're recording ahead
Camping
of time.
trip.
Yeah.
And I'm working.
Plus, we've been having some issues trying to get ourselves together at the same time.
Yeah.
So we're like, okay, we got 2 hours. Let's try and bust out a couple.
With COVID restrictions easing up, it made it so, lots of family wants to see each other. And did not work out on the same days, unfortunately.
A lot of people want to have babies at my work, so I'm just been working around the clock, nonstop. So that's where I've been.
I'm on summer vacation.
Just wait 18 years from now, they're like, oh yeah, I was a COVID baby.
Yeah, people will say that. I'm a Pandini. Pandini baby. Yeah. Anyways, what was our
recap of last chapter? Agatha was able to trick her wall. There was a magic wall, and she saw herself in it, and she was able to trick it into making her be evil, so she could actually get through it to get to the other school.
Mm-hmm.
And she ended up finding the hidden tower or hidden room in their school, as well as finding Sophie. However, Sophie was like, give me your dress, we can fix this, and I can go be a princess, and you can stay here and rot, bye.
Peace out, Girl Scout. That's what she did.
So, and poor Agatha over there even believed her when she's like, oh yeah, we can still be friends even as I go, bye. So, yeah, we'll see how that turns out.
She seems so innocent and so sweet.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Poor Agatha.
All right.
On to chapter 7.
Sorry,
After
Chewie.
our reader gets coffee and has to lift her sleepy doggy off of her lap.
Okay, sleepy doggy.
It's Chewbacca.
Okay.
Squish the face.
Oh, I'm just making sure that he still has support for his little precious angel face.
No, you know.
I want to poke the boot.
Poke the boop.
Big boy, yeah.
His tail's all wagging while he's upside down.
He's upset. His paws are in the air. Good boy.
He looks like a broken floof.
He does.
He is a broken floof.
Anyways, chapter 7.
I'm just gonna rest this right here, okay? Yeah. You wanna hold that?
Your
for me?
face is going to be the book. He's like, no, Ma.
That's my
I
You have to hold it up like this.
ear. Boom.
You're so
Simba.
needy. So needy. Chapter 7. Thank you. Chapter 7. Grand High Witch Ultimate. Why do we need to uglify? Sophie peeked through her fingers at Professor Mallory's bald, pimpled head and squashed-colored skin, trying not to gag. Around her never sat at charred desks with rusty mirrors, cheerily brandishing tadpoles to death in their iron bowls. If she didn't know better, she'd think that they were making a Sunday cake. Why am I still here? Yeah, they had tadpoles and they were trying to kill the tadpoles for their potions.
I would not compare that to cake. Blech. Okay, sorry.
Why am I still here? She frumes through furious tears. Why do I need to be revolting and repugnant? Manly jowled. Hester! Because it makes us fearsome, Hester said, and swiggered her tadpole juice. Instantly springing a rash of red pox. Yeah, I know. You think this is disgusting, don't you?
He's like, no red pox for me.
Nope. He's like, I'm done. I'm out.
Bye.
Why'd you give me your butt? I don't want your butt. I want your head. It's floofier. Okay. Wrong, roared Manly. Annadale. Because it makes little boys cry, Annadale said, sprouting her own red blisters. Wrong, Dot. Because it's easier to get ready in the morning? Dot asked, mixing her juice with chocolate. Wrong and stupid, Manly scorned. Only once you give up the surface can you dig beneath. Only once you relinquish vanity can you be yourself. Sophie crawled through the desks, lunging for the door. The knob burnt her hand and she yelped. Only once you destroy who you think you are can you embrace who you truly are. Manly said, glaring right at her. Whimpering, Sophie crawled back to her desk, past villains exploding in shingles. Smoky green ranks popped out of thin air around her. 1 over Hester, 2 over Annadel, and 3 over oily brown-skinned Raven. 4 over blonde, pointy-eared Vex. Hort drank his draught excitedly, only to see a wee zit spurt from his chin. He smacked away the rank 19.
She's gonna be number 20.
With the rank smacked him right back. Ugliness means you rely on intelligence, Manly leered towards Sophie. Ugliness means that you trust your soul. Ugliness means freedom. He flung a bowl onto her desk. Sophie looked down at the black tadpole juice. Some of it was still moving. Actually, Professor, I believe my beautification teacher would object to my participation in this assign 3 failing marks, and you'll end up something uglier than me, Manly spat. Sophie looked up. I really don't think that's possible. Manly turned to the class. Who would like to help our dear Sophie taste freedom? Me! Sophie whipped around. Don't worry, Hort whispered. You'll look better this way. Before Sophie could scream, he plunged his hand into the bowl. Lying in a puddle on the banks of good, Agatha replayed the scene from Evil. Her best friend had called her a boob, flying tackled her, stolen her clothes, left the witches, and then asked for love advice. It's this place, she thought. In Galveston, Sophie would have forgotten about classes and castles and boys. In Galveston, they would have find their happily ever after together. Not here. I just need to get us home. And yet something still bothered her. That moment on the bridge, Sophie in pink against the school for good, she in black against the school of evil. Everything is perfect now, Sophie said. And she was right. For a brief moment, the mistake had been corrected. They were where they belonged. So why couldn't we stay? Whatever happened, it was still a close call, because once Sophie made it to the good, she would never leave. Agatha's breath shallowed. She had to make sure the faculty didn't discover the mix-up. She had to make sure that they weren't switched to the right schools. And how could
she's protecting her still.
Basically, yeah.
Is she protecting her now?
Kind of, sort of.
Or is she protecting their friendship because she's afraid to lose it?
She's afraid to lose their friendship,
yeah.
I think. So she's saying...
So now she is being a little selfish.
A
little bit.
The little birdies here.
Oh, are they...
Yep.
Stay away from a closet.
I turned to her, I was like, she's ready. Because she was like flipping her tail.
I think that's one of the baby birds, I want to say.
It looks small.
It looks pretty small.
Yeah, I think that was one of the baby birds. So, like, a month ago, I had we have a patio, and the birds decided to make a nest inside my closet on my patio, and they made a huge mess with bird poop everywhere, and now they're back. They want round 2, and I'm not letting them in.
It's not your fault your husband left the door open so they could make a nest in there.
Right.
They were not clean tenants. They were messy tenants.
You're like, you could have stayed if you didn't poop in there.
If you didn't poop in there, you could have stayed, but it was disgusting, so we're not doing that again. There's no round 2.
Nope.
Or 3 or 4 or 5.
Get a little bird hut and put it in something.
I could
get a birdhouse.
I could get a birdhouse. I think maybe I could replace my airplane with that. Anyway, back to the book. But how could she make sure Sophie stayed put? Go to class, her heart whispered. Pollux said the schools kept an even number of students to preserve the balance. So for this mistake to be corrected, they would both have to be switched. As long as Agatha had her place for school and good, then Sophie was stuck in the school for evil. And if there's one thing she knew for sure, is that Sophie couldn't possibly last as a villain. A few more days, and she would beg for Galveston. Go to class. Of course. She had to find a way to last at this horrid school and wear Sophie down. For the first time since they'd been kidnapped, Agatha opened her heart to Hope. Hope died within 10 minutes later.
There we go.
I was like, wow, this is changing. Nope, never mind. Okay, we're good.
Mm-hmm.
Professor Emma Anemone, whistling in a blinding yellow dress with long fox fur gloves, walked into her pink taffy classroom, took one look at Agatha and stopped whistling. But then she murmured, Rapunzel took some work too, and launched into her first lesson on making smiles look kinder.
Wait, she said that after seeing Agatha?
Mm-hmm.
That's great.
Now, the key is to communicate with your eyes, she chirped, and demonstrated the perfect princess smile, with her bulging eyes and wild yellow hair matching her dress. Agatha thought that she looked like a manna canary, but Agatha knew her chances of getting home rested in her hands, and she mimicked her toothly beam with the others. Professor Anemone walked around, surveying the girls. Not so much squinting, a little less nose, dear. Oh my, absolutely
How do you give
beautiful.
less nose?
I don't know.
Don't smile as big? I don't know.
Try to, like, make your lips, like, cover your nose? I don't know.
Not sure.
Oh my, absolutely beautiful. She was talking to Beatrix, who lit up the room with her dazzling smile. That, my Evers, is a smile that can win the heart of even the steeliest prince. A smile that can broker peace in the greatest of wars. A smile that can lead a kingdom to hope and prosperity. Then she saw Agatha. You there, no smirking. With the teacher looming, Agatha tried to concentrate and duplicate Beatrix's perfect smile. For a second, she thought she had it. Goodness, now that's a creepy grin. A smile, child, just a normal, everyday smile. Happy. Think of something happy. But all she could think of was Sophie on the bridge, leaving for her boy she didn't even know. Now that's positively malevolent, Professor Anemone shrieked. Agatha turned and saw the whole class cowering as if expecting her to turn them all into bats. Do you think she eats children? Said Beatrix. I'm so glad I moved out, Rena sighed. Agatha frowned. It couldn't have been that bad. She saw Professor Anemone's face. If you ever need a man to trust you, if you ever need a man to save you, if you ever need a man to love you, whatever you do, child, don't smile at him. Princess etiquette taught by Pollux was worse. He arrived in a bad mood, hobbling with his massive canine head attached to a skinny goat carcass and muttering that Castor has his body this week. He looked up and saw the girl staring at him. And there I thought I was teaching princesses. All I see here are ill-mannered girls gaping like toads. Are you a toad? Do you like to catch flies with your little pink tongues? The girls stopped staring after that. The first lesson was princess posture, which involved the girls descending the 4 princess staircase with nests of nightingale eggs on their heads. Though most of the girls succeeded without breaking any eggs, Agatha had a harder time. There were a number of reasons for this. A lifetime of slouching, Beatrix and Rena intensely watching her with their new, kinder smiles, her mind chattering that Sophie would win this with her eyes closed, and the absurdity of a dog barking about posture while teetering on goat legs. In the end, she left 20 eggs bleeding yolk onto the marble. 20 beautiful martingales who have not had life is because of you, Ouch. Said Pollux. As the class ranks appeared over each girl in ethereal gold clouds, Beatrix first, of course, Agatha spun to see a rusted 20 hover over, then crashed into her head. 2 classes, 2 last place ranks. 1 more, and she would learn what happened to kids who failed. With her plan to get Sophie home crumbling by the minute, Agatha hurried to her next class, desperate to prove herself good. Shingles won't keep Cinderella from the ball. Shingles won't keep Sleeping Beauty from her kiss. Staring at her pustule...
I would hope it would. They don't want to give shingles... No, contagious.
They didn't have a pandemic to learn social distancing.
No, but...
I don't know if this chick has COVID. I'm just not going to kiss her. It's okay. She can stay asleep. I'll get to her when she wakes up.
Exactly.
14-day isolation to be safe.
Just to be safe.
Staring at her pustuled reflection in the desk mirror, Sophie forced the kindest smile. She had solved every problem in life with beauty and charm, and she would solve this one in the same way. Henchman training took place in the Belfie, a dreary open-aired cloister atop Malice Tower that required a 30-flight ascent up the staircase, so the narrow students who squeezed into single file. So nauseous, Dot panted like an overheated camel. If she pukes near me, I'm gonna throw her off the tower, Hester crabbed. As she climbed, Sophie tried not to think about Pustule's puke or putrid Hort, who was trying to cram beside her. I know you hate me, he pressed. The lurch She lurched to the right to block him. Hort tried to the left. But it was the challenge, and I didn't want you to fail, and... Sophie thwarted him with her elbow and raced the last couple of steps, desperate to prove to her new teacher that she was in the wrong place. Unfortunately, that teacher was Castor. Course I get the reader in my group. Even worse as assistant Beazle, which was a red-skinned dwarf that Sophie had slapped on the ladder the day before. Upon seeing her blistered face, he giggled like a hyena. Ugly witch! Headed off center on this massive dog's body, Castor wasn't as amused. You're all revolting enough as it is, he groused, and sent Beazle to fetch Honeysuckle, which promptly restored the villains' faces. While they groaned in disappointment, Sophie heaved with relief. Whether you win or lose your battles depends on the compliance of your loyalty and your henchmen, Castor said. Of course, some of you will end up as henchmen yourselves, with your own lives depending on the strength of your leader. Better pay attention, then, if you want to stay alive. Sophie gritted her teeth. Agatha was probably singing to doves somewhere, and here she was about to wrangle bloodthirsty goons. And for your first challenge, how to train, Castor stepped aside. A golden goose. Sophie gaped at the elegant gold-feathered bird beside him, sleeping serenely in its nest. But golden geese hate villains, Annabelle frowned. Which means if you can train one, then taming a mountain troll will be easy, Castor said. The golden goose opened its pearly blue eyes, took in the villainous audience, and smiled. Why is it smiling? Dot said. Because it knows you're wasting our time, Hester said. Golden geese only listen to Evers. Excuses, Castor yawned. Your job is to make this pathetic creature lay one of its prized eggs. The bigger the egg, the higher your rank. Sophie's heart raced. If the bird only listened to the good, she could prove here and now that she didn't belong to these monsters. All she had to do was make the goose lay the biggest egg. On the belfry wall, Castor carved 5 strategies for training henchmen. 1. Command. 2. Taunt. 3. Trick. 4. Bribe. And 5. Bully. Now don't go bullying the blasted birds unless you've gone through all the other 4, Castor warned. Ain't nothing stopping henchmen from bullying back. Sophie made sure that she was the last one in line and watched the first 5 kids have 0 luck, including Vex, who went as far as grabbing its throat only to see the golden goose smile in return. Miraculously, Hort was the first to succeed. He tried barking, "Lay egg," commanding it a prat and tempting it with worms before giving up and kicking its nest. Wrong thing to kick. In a flash, the goose yanked his tunic over his head, and Hort yelped about blindly banging into walls. Sophie vowed if she had to see this boy one more time without clothes, she'd gouge out her eyes. But the goose seemed delighted. It flapped its wings and sniggered and squawked, so raucously that it lost control and exerted a golden egg the size of a coin. Hort held it up in stunned triumph. I won! Right, because in the heat of battle, you'll have time to run around naked and make your goose crap, Castor snarled. Still, the dog had said whoever had the biggest egg won, so the Nevers mimicked Hort's tactic. Dot made faces, Raven made shadow puppets, Annabelle tickled it with a feather, and bald doughy Bronze sat on Beetle, much to the bird's delight. Smelly witch, the dwarf howled. Scaling at this, Hester walked up and punched the goose in the stomach. It dropped an egg the size of a fist. Amateurs, she sneered. It was Sophie's turn. She approached the golden goose, which seemed exhausted from laughing and laying, but when the goose met Sophie's gaze, it stopped to blinking and sat still as a statue, studying every inch of her. For a moment, Sophie felt an eerie chill float through her body, as if she'd let a stranger into her soul. But then she looked into the bird's warm, wise eyes and swelled with hope. Surely it saw she was different from the rest. Yes, you certainly are different. Sophie backed up. She peeked around to see if anybody else had heard the bird's thoughts. But the rest of the Nevers just glowered impatiently, since she had to finish before they got to their ranks. Sophie turned to the goose. You can hear my thoughts? They're quite loud, replied the goose. What about the others? No, just you. Because I'm good? Sophie smiled. I can give you what you want, said the goose. I can make them see you're a princess. One perfect egg, and they'll put you with your prince. Sophie dropped to her knees. Please, I'll do anything you want. Just help me. The bird smiled. Close your eyes and make a wish. Overcome with relief, Sophie closed her eyes. In a shining moment, she wished for Tedros, her beautiful, perfect prince who could make her happy. She suddenly wondered if Agatha told him that they were friends. She hoped not. Gasps flew around. Sophie opened her eyes and she saw the goose's gold feathers finished turning gray. Her eyes widened from blue to black. Its warm smile went dead, and there was definitely no egg. What happened? Sophie twirled. What does it mean? Castor looked petrified. It means she'd rather give up her power than help you.
Wow.
A 1 exploded in red flames over Sophie's head like a diabolical crown. That's the most evil thing I've ever seen, Castor said softly. Stunned, Sophie watched her classmates huddle like scared minnows, all except Hester, eyes blazing as if she'd just found her competition. Behind her, Beazle shivered deep in the dark corner. Grand Witch, he squeaked. No, 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 Sophie cried, not Grand Witch. But Beazle nodded with certainty. Grand High Witch Ultimate. Sophie whipped back to the goose. What did I do? But the goose, gray as fog, looked over at her as if it had never seen her in its life and let out the most ordinary of honks. From the belfry, a squawk echoed across the moat into the soaring silver tower that split two sides of the bay. A silhouette appeared at a window and gazed out into its domain. Dozens of smoky rank numbers, brightly colored ones from good, dark, and gloomy ones from evil, drifted from the two schools over the waters and wafted up to his window, like balloons in wind. As each one passed, his fingers ran through the smoke, which gave him the power to see whose rank it was and how they had earned it. He sifted through dozens of numbers until he came to one he sought, a red flame 1 that revealed its history in a flood of images. A golden goose throwing away its power for a student? Only one could have such talent. Only one could be so pure. That one would tip the balance. With a chill, the schoolmaster went back to his tower and awaited her arrival. Curses and death traps took place in a bone-numbing frost chamber with the walls, desks, and chairs made completely out of ice. Sophie thought she could see bodies buried deep beneath the frozen floor. It's cold, Hort chattered. It's warmer in the dorm room, Lady Lesso replied. Howls of pain echoed through the dungeon beneath their feet. I feel warmer now, Hort stammered, blue-faced. Cold will harden your insides, said Lady Lesso, which need hardening if a reader is placing first in challenges. She slunk between rows of shivering students, black braid snapping against the sharp-shouldered purple gown. Dagger steel heels clinking on the ice. This is not a school for unwarranted cruelty. Hurt without reason, and you are a beast, not a villain. No, our mission requires focus and care. In this class, you will learn to find the ever who stands in your way of the goal, and one who will grow stronger as you grow weaker. They're out there, my nevers, somewhere in the woods, your nemesis. When the time is right, you will find and destroy them. That is your path to freedom. A scream echoed from the doom room, and Lady Lesso smiled. Your other classes may be pageants of ineptitude, but here there will be no challenges until I see you are worthy. Sophie hadn't heard any of this. All she could hear was the goose squawk banging again around in her head. Convulsing with cold, she brought back tears. She tried everything to get into good. Fleeing, fighting, pleading, wishing. What was left? She pictured Agatha sitting in her classes, her seat, her school, and flushed hot red. And she thought they were friends. A nemesis is your arch enemy, Lady Lesso's purple eyes flashing. Your other half, your soul's inverse, your Achilles heel. Sophie forced herself to pay attention. After all, here was a chance to learn enemy secrets. It might save her once she made it into good. You will come to know your nemesis through dreams, Lady Lesso went on, veins pulsing under her tight skin. A nemesis will haunt your sleep night after night until you see nothing but his or her face. Nemesis dreams will chill your heart and boil your blood. They will make you gnash your teeth and rip out your hair, for they are the sum of hate, the sum of your fears. Lady Lesso dragged her long red nails across Hork's desk. Only when your nemesis is dead will you feel quenched. Only when your nemesis is dead will you feel free. Kill your nemesis, and nevermore will welcome you into eternal glory. The class tittered with excitement. Of course, given our school's history, those gates won't open anytime soon, she muttered. How do we find your nemesis? Said Dot. Who chooses them? Asked Hester. Will they be from our class? Raven asked.
Probably looking over at Sophie.
Probably. These questions are premature. Only exceptional villains are blessed with nemesis dreams, Lady Lesso said. No, first you will be asking why stuck-up, stupid, insolent good wins every competition in the school, and how you're going to change that. She peered at Sophie as if to say whether she liked it or not, the pink-loving reader might be their best hope. As soon as the wolf's howl signaled class was over, Sophie darted from the ice room, twisting up the stairs until she found a small balcony off the hall. In the privacy of the fog, she leaned against the damp halls of the evil tower and finally let herself cry. She didn't care that she ruined her makeup or if anyone saw. She had never felt so alone or scared. She hated this horrible place and couldn't take it anymore. Sophie gazed at the school for good, glass towers glinting across the bay. For the first time, it seemed out of reach. Lunch. Tedros would be there. Her shining prince, her last hope. Isn't that what princes are for after all? To rescue princesses who seem to have been lost? Heart swelling, she wiped her tears. Just make it to lunch. She sprinted to Evil Hall for history of villainy. Sophie noticed scores of buzzing nevers crowded outside. Dot saw her and grabbed her arm. They canceled classes? No one knows why. Lunch will be sent to your rooms. Lunch will be sent to your rooms, boomed a white wolf, as fellow wolves cracked whips and drove students to their towers. Sophie's heart deflated. But what happened? She suddenly smelled smoke creeping through the hall in every direction. Sophie slid between the shoving mob to the stone window, where a group of students stared in stunned silence. She followed their eyes across the bay. A good tower was on fire. Dot gasped. Who could have possibly done something so brilliant? Hester said, awestruck. Well, Agatha had the answer to that. That's where I stopped.
Goodness.
Look at the cute little fox in the corner.
I know, it's for the next chapter. I'll show you the goose, though. There was a goose picture. Hold on. We'll go back to the goose picture. Gooses. He's her with the goose.
Goose.
And back to chapter 8.
Yes.
Oh, you just read 2?
Huh?
I didn't realize we read 2.
Well, we read the one from before
We read
this.
6, we read 7. Now
We're
about
going to read 8,
8.
but not in this video, obviously. I had to flip back to the beginning.
So, do we think Agatha set the tower on fire?
Said Agatha knew.
She knew? I mean,
She knew.
I mean, that'd be a pretty epic fail in class.
Would be.
Beautification class. She tried to make herself beautiful. Instead, she caught herself on fire.
Sounds legit. I believe it.
Yeah, I believe that would happen.
What do you guys think is going to happen?
Let us know below. We would love to hear your thoughts and opinions on things, of the books.
What do you hope is going to happen? That's another good one. I want to know what you guys hope happens at the end of this book.
Yeah.
Do they stay friends? Do they actually become villains? Do they, interject and mess up the order of good versus evil?
I think it'll be a little bit of a messing up of the status quo.
So they started talking a little bit about nemesis dreams. Do you think any of the characters are going to have nemesis dreams?
Yes.
Well, that big burning bright red number 1 and the fact that she already has her skin boiling.
Yeah.
Because Agatha's in her classes and doing her stuff. I think she's unfortunately on a fast track on that option.
Yeah. I think.
Why do you think that the goose decided to give up her powers?
Because Sophie is actually pretty evil.
Because when she was asking for that wish, she was being pretty selfish. And at the same time, she even was saying other things about like, oh, I hope like even in like because this can
Within
hear
her
everything. So,
wish.
oh, I hope Agatha said I was didn't say I was friends with her because like she'd be ashamed of that.
No.
You know, how can you be friends with someone if you're ashamed of something? You know.
Mm. I think that totally turned off the goose.
Yeah.
And just saw like how
she would
evil
rather
she
be
is.
a normal goose with no special abilities or wisdom versus
a
grant
special
that
goose.
wish.
Yeah. For sure. Well, let us know what you guys think, and then we'll see you in the next chapter.
Don't forget to check out our Instagram.
Yep.
Fun and
Friends. Interact with us on there because that's where we have a lot of behind the scenes and bloopers posts on there, and as well as the questions for you guys to answer.
We also try and let you know on there if we're going to have any delays for the week, just because sometimes it's hard for us to get together.
Because we all have 3 different schedules.
Yeah.
Yep.
So,
Adulting
and different
sucks.
jobs. It does. So just a little reminder, we do have different schedules and different types of jobs. So we have to sleep and eat still in between.
Especially that sleeping one.
Yeah, especially sleeping, because I work around the clock, nights and days and whatever, so it's hard for me to...
I'm on summer
Meet up.
vacation because I'm a teacher. So.
Lucky.
All right. We'll see you guys next
Anyway,
time.
Bye.